So the Seattle Ring Hunter here, we got this dive light, and the problem is it keeps coming loose. Hi guys, the Seattle Ring Hunter here with a quick product review. Little scuba diving accessory that is very handy when you're doing any type of work in the water, even if you're a recreational diver. It's referred to as a Goodman handle, typically for lights that you would want to hold in your hand right over the top of the palm backside of your hand. And the Goodman handles traditionally were probably fashioned out of a piece of bar aluminum that was bent over. Then later on they got into some Delrin composite, some real nice machined handles, and then they got into some that were more made out of material with some Velcro, and it just straps around your hand. So let me go ahead and explain what we've got going on here. The current configuration, this is like the second or third iteration that I've had to get to this point. And I run out here in the Pacific Northwest, as you've seen in my previous videos, with some 5 to 7 mil waterproof dive gloves, so that, keep my fingers from freezing down there, especially in the lakes when you get down past the thermocline and you drop a few more degrees. It's nice to have these gloves, and of course with the gloves and the dry suit, I can actually take my glove off if I absolutely need to use the dexterity of my hand. So I like to have these type of gloves. So I can actually manipulate things if I need to. If I have the gloves that actually lock into my dry suit and I try to pull those off, I could potentially be having a flooded dry suit. So that didn't really appeal to me. Back to the subject matter at hand here. This dive light is actually a Sea Life, very nice. It works pretty well. You can see here it's got a spot. It's not a photo light by any means, but it does light up the area if you're looking for small items in sediment, silty conditions, if you need to take a look at a piece of equipment to find out what's going on with it. And it's just an all-around good light. It's actually a good light when you're doing some recreational diving as well. And of course you would have a backup light, or you could use this as a backup light and then have a larger one, like a pistol grip or something of that nature, like Underwater Kinetics is a very popular one, and some other ones that are out there that a lot of people enjoy using. So this being small and compact works really well. The problem I had initially, we have Big Blue, which makes this, it's readily available. You can find it on Amazon or at your local dive shop potentially. It was nice in the beginning. I had one of these, and I had a light initially installed in this little neoprene sleeve, and the problem is that I didn't have a tie strap on it, and I didn't have the back end fastened like this light now. I actually lost a light. Sorry to say, I didn't have the opportunity to go back for it. I was kind of over the other light. It was not this one specifically, and I someday may go back out there, but I wasn't invested into it all that much to go back after it. So the light did come out, it slid out, and I didn't realize it right away. I probably wasn't using a light at that time. It was just as a backup. It was a nice sunny day in the summer, I believe. That there was a lot of milfoil and a lot of sediment and silt at the bottom, so it was clouding up quite a bit. And I was at the point where I just cut my loss and moved on. This was the second version of it that worked pretty well. I went and invested in the Sea Life, really good lights. I've got one of their photo lights, the Sea Dragon light, and it's amazing. It really lights everything up when I'm using a GoPro or the Parallax camera underwater. It's a lot brighter, and it doesn't have it's a nice even light for photography. So for videography underwater, highly recommended if you want to check them out. Sea Life, it's been around a while, very well, very trusted brand. So what I did here this time around is I went and I got a little clip. I put some paracord on the back of the light, and I put a little split ring on it, as you can see, and it locked in, and this was great. It was working, everything was happy. I put it as a little bit of an extra restraint. I've got a wire tie there, and it's secures that light. It's not coming out of there unless I want it to come out. If I need to take and change the battery, if I take this off, I can easily just unscrew the head, and the 18650 2600 milliamp lithium ion battery pops out, goes into the charge cradle, and you can pop a different one in, or after that gets charged up, pop it back in. And everything was going smooth and everything, and I was enjoying it. This top piece, I don't ever adjust it because I wear the same pair of gloves every time I use this light. I dive with these gloves on all year round here in the Puget Sound. It's funny and as crazy as it sounds, I even dive with them in the lakes in the summertime. My hands don't get hot, let's just face it. It's just what I'm used to working with. I don't have to switch gear out too much or make a decision on that. It's just easy to grab the same bits of gear without too much overhead and thought process, and to keep everything kind of kitted up that way. So that's the way I function. So this is always the same, and as you can see, it's a good, I don't know, ½ inch or whatever it is. It's wide, maybe it's an inch. Anyway, I'm just going to say that it's real wide, and it's a lot of contact with this Velcro, and it's been real sturdy. But I can't say the same about this here. This piece down here, this part, the hook, and then you got the felt side, the loop side, and I can do this one-handed even with the glove on, and it sticks. You know, it looks great. I mean, it looks like you got a wide patch there, but the reality is if I demonstrate this, that's a pretty wide contact patch. Unfortunately, they didn't make this piece wide enough because they put the heavy seam on the outside, and all it takes is, it really didn't, it's hard to, that doesn't really translate over video all that much, but I mean, it just falls right off all the time. When I'm flopping around, I got to stop my process. I usually have gear or a piece of equipment in my other hand. I got to go in there and reconnect it. So this was kind of like, time for a different solution. I am enjoying the light, and I want to keep that as part of the solution. So here we go. Just got in the mail, something I've had my eye on for a while. Didn't have a need for it, essentially, but you guys that are divers are well aware of Dive Rite. Yes, Dive Rite, that would be Dive R-I-T-E. And we got a box that just came in, and I got their Goodman handle accessory. Now, they make some amazing lights. I haven't had experience with them, but I've seen them online, and they're a lot larger. They're a little bulkier. Even their smaller ones are pretty big, but they're, you know, they're made for extensive run times, and you get a lot of light out of them. I find this is sufficient and compact for my needs. But right now we're going to take a first-hand look, and this is the there's two models of this Goodman quick release latch here. So we look at this latch, and the thing is when they originally came out, they didn't have this locking flap here. That's on them now, so if you're going to buy one, you probably want to make sure you see that that's included. So the way it works is they got O-rings, and they're using those like rubber band elastic tension against these two shafts. The back shaft is in and it does not move, and this one here slides. So if we can look at it a little bit, you can see that there's a little bit of a groove in there, and that is how the engagement works. Now, some of their flashlights, you can actually screw the mount directly onto the flashlight with some machine screws, but they have a universal mount that they made out of some molded, actually it's got lines in it, so it's probably a printed part potentially. They actually 3D printed this part on top here. The bottom part is a piece of machined aluminum, and then they got this. So we're going to take the light off, we're going to mount this around there, and then you got two wire ties that go through the holes that keep the flashlight secure to that. And then it's just a quick action of, it snaps in. With the light on there, you can pull it in and out because you have a lot more leverage, and I can do that even just with some sharp edges on there, but that will not be an issue because it'll be up against the flashlight. I'll be pulling on the body of the light, and this should snap in super easy. But the cool part is it has a lock. It locks out, so it's not coming out unless I flip that. And it's a nice, they really thought about this. These guys are amazing. It's my first Dive Rite product, and I think I'm going to really enjoy it. And here's the other part that's kind of cool. I know that the latch goes, or the lock part goes in the front, and you got a section, so well, actually it depends on which way you want to use it, right hand, left hand, so it doesn't matter too much, I guess. You can also, I would suspect that if you had a preference on which way you pull, you take these two screws out and you just turn this around, whoop, put the screws back in, and you can have that up front. Which, you know, depending on how I want to do this, I might pull back and push down. That might be the best way, and just leave it like that. Keep this back there because I can always see it. You know, that's not a problem. But you put your thumb through there. But look here, they've got an actual plastic compression strap on here. There's no Velcro. This is real thick. It's elasticated. You can cinch it down, and then you can tuck the rest of it underneath these keepers, elastic keepers. And I think they really, it's got enough, you tighten it down enough to where you can just slide it over a glove. And I think they've really got a good solution here, I'm hoping. But let's go ahead and put the glove on and adjust that real quick. Then we'll get our light out. We'll get it off of the old rig, put it on the new rig, and see what we think about this. Just shove your hand in there. You can loosen it up. That's pretty easy to do. And pull. And I can tell already it's got enough pressure, it's staying on, but it's not hurting my hand or anything by any means. Even with a, you know, lightly on there, it's not going anywhere. You can be, yeah, I think that's going to be a really nice solution. They did offset this a little bit, and that was because they have some larger lights when they're on there, and they actually stated this on one of their YouTube videos. If they put it in the center and you put your hand back, you could be bumping the back of your wrist, and it would be just kind of a offset a little bit so you can do work. And the back end of the light comes back this way and not into this, so it's a little bit more ergonomic. It's a very brilliant and smart design. We're going to find out exactly what we think about it after we actually take it out for a dive and play around with it a little bit. But right now, we'll go ahead and pull this out. So pulling back and off, and that engagement works just by pressing straight down. You can pull back a little bit, but I think it will also, because it's, if you look at it, there's angles here, so you could just push down and it should pull these back a little bit. But it's a little bit, got a lot of tension on it with the O-rings. They do provide a spare set of O-rings in the kit. You could probably spec those out if you ever needed to and find another one. Just take one off and measure it. You could order it online if you needed to. It's not a big deal. O-rings you can find everywhere. So it's common materials, and this will probably last quite a long time actually. I'm kind of excited to see how this works. Now let's go ahead and get that light taken off and put it on this rig and give it a test real quick here. So I'm going to open this up just a little bit to get it off the glove, and that comes off really easy. The glove's a little damp still, drying out from a recent dive. But anyway, we're going to get our flush cutters and snip our old one out of there. We're going to take and undo the little clip on the back end so I don't take this light out of here. I leave it in there all the time. So, but anyway, that clip come off pretty easy. And then I can pull it straight out. We can put that aside, and that's not going to be utilized anymore, simply because they just didn't engineer their Velcro strap all that much for long-term durability. I've had this thing for maybe one season, and it's kind of disheartening. I've tried to clean this hook side out a little bit with, you know, the edge. You get the point of your pocket knife and you dig around in there and you try to get all the little fuzzies out of there. It's still just, there's not, this stuff here is just not as wide. Obviously this is a wider spot. You can see that the whole width is Velcro, so this piece here was always pretty sturdy, but out with that one and in with the new one. Had enough of that. We've got some wire ties here. We'll leave the part numbers in the video notes if you guys are so inclined that you want to do something like this. You can go right to the notes of this video and you can get the part numbers of this stuff. And I see that they use some nice looks like T&B wire ties, kind of like the Panduit, where the middle here actually has the metal tab in it. So these are some higher quality wire ties that'll probably last quite a bit. Don't know if they're stainless steel Or if there's steel, if you're in salt water, you probably want to rinse that out and keep an eye on it, because if it were to corrode over time and fail. But it is a TB, or if you absolutely wanted to, I mean, you're typically working with $150 to $200 and over dive light that you don't want to lose. So if you use the plastic wire ties, it may be sufficient, but this is going to have a really good hold. And if we set the light just past the black, I think that's actually a good spot, because when you unscrew, there's a bit of shoulder on this light specifically. So I think that's a real good set point. It's going to sit real nice on the hand. We're going to tighten this. It always comes back to the same position, fortunately. I'm going to run my tie strap this way, so this piece is going to wind up on the back side. I like to do things symmetrically, so I'm going to make sure my wire ties are symmetric because I can, and because I'm OCD, and I just like organization and things that make sense. So let's tighten this up. That's more towards the hand, so anything on this side won't catch. If I'm moving my hand around with this, I'll run it down pretty close to the hole, tighten it up, and use the flush cutters to get a real good clean cut on the end there, so we don't have some sharp point that could cut or poke something else. And the easier way to do this is to probably take it out of that mount. I can get right underneath here and tighten this up pretty good. See here, it's coming together. We'll tighten this up a little bit and move these straps down just to the bottom. I'm already liking this system. I haven't even utilized this light yet in this Goodman setup in a dive, and I'm already liking it. I can tell already that I'm probably going to have a good experience, and that these guys did a real good job. We'll let you know and update what we think about it later after we take it for a dive. But yeah, the light still rotates a little bit, but you know, it's holding it in place. It's not going anywhere, and that's fine. I've taken this light apart enough times and re-screwed it on that I don't think there's going to be a problem of orientating the switch to be straight up. That's the only concern. So if you turn this a little bit and then start the threads at another spot, the question is, do we wind up still dead top center at 12 o'clock straight up? And we do. So it looks like that we'll be okay on that. I'm going to tighten this up as much as I can just to put enough. Yep, it kind of puts some pressure against that, and that is not rubberized on this light. That is anodized knurled aluminum that's been machined, so this is really good. It's not like I'm not digging into some of these. They have a rubber over molding, and that's not the case on this light, so I can crank down on this pretty tight. You got your plastic down here, whatever plastic they used in their 3D printer to get this top bar, and then this is the metal piece down below. None of this has to be changed out, and I think I'm going to leave the handle in the same orientation with the release on the back side. Let's go ahead and clip this down. Like I said, I like to make it nice and flush. I'm going to pull on it just a little bit with these. That gives me a little bit more tension. That is clean cut. Just not going to snag anything, tear a hole in any neoprene gloves or any other equipment. I can't afford to have equipment failures and setting myself up for a bad experience or cutting my fingers. And right there is another one, very smooth, very nice. And I just need to take the light and rotate it just straight up. It's got enough pressure, like I said, it's not going to leave that orientation, and I can easily turn the light on and off. So here we go. We've got the light, and the reality is most of the time I'm probably just going to engage this light. If I ever get a different light, I can also, as a quick disconnect, I can get another base plate, and you can order those separately, and I can put it on either one of their other Rite lights, where it actually, instead of having the 3D printed nesting component, they have one that actually just has holes in it for machine screws, or you can take the plate, I think, and just screw it straight into the threaded inserts that are on their actual lights, and you can just snap it in. So like I say here, I've got options because they do sell those components separately, but this is the configuration it's going to be remaining in. And I may or may not, I may just leave that on there. It's a nice clip-off spot, but look here, they've got a D-ring on here already, and it's captive. It's sewn in and it's not coming off. So if I want to put a open ender, or clip on it, a double-ended clip, I can put that on there and clip it off on my gear if I ever needed to, or wanted to secure it somewhere during transport so it didn't fall away from my bag of gear. That is pretty cool. I can put a clip through there, or open-ended, or a double-ended bolt snap. That's what we're trying to go for there. Yep. You divers all know those are handy. We use a lot of them. Stainless steel dive hardware. Pay a bit of money for that gear, but it works good in the marine environment. And yeah, look at that. Oh, look at that right there. If I'm like working, now that's pretty narrow, but I'm still able to work, get in there and look around. The light is, it's okay. You got your other hand to manipulate if you needed to use it. Obviously, I'm not sticking my hand through tight spots like that when I'm diving so much. I don't want to get entangled or trapped or something, but yeah, I could work something out with that. I think that's going to work real nice. And pulling back, it's locked in place unless I open up that release. Light can come off. The light goes back on, and that's a real good engagement. That's made out of a polymer plastic of some sort. Injection molded locking lever that they had made. You can see that there's where the die was. The mold line is in there. That's a nice good piece of hardware there, and it's going to keep that bar from coming back. And it locks the light in there real nice. I don't even feel anything around this dive glove, and I still have all full dexterity of my fingers and the gloved hands. I can manipulate equipment if I needed to. I can grab a hold of stuff. The light's not coming off, and here we go. I turn the light on. We've got the light. I can easily do what I need to. Hand is still available. Going back, that's what they had mentioned this. Even with this light, if my wrist is here and I go back, if I had to do anything, this is not bumping into my wrist. It actually clears because they gave it that little bit of offset. So that was smart of them, and I actually kind of like this. It's a real thick. We'll see how long it lasts. It looks pretty good quality, and they did some really good finish work on the assembly of this. They sewed it, they clean cut and heat melted it at the end, so it's not fraying. That's bungee strap, and it actually appears that it's going to be with this movable one and this one here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like that. So anyway, there you go, guys. That's actually, there we go. This is the Handmount Soft QRM DR light and the Striker Plate Universal light. So that's what that is by Rite right there. They call it the QRM quick release mount by Rite. Check them out online. Check out their videos directly if you want to see their demonstration of how it works. This is my own non-paid, non-sponsored review of it, just installing it, and I am very excited to have this new piece of hardware because I think it's going to be a real benefit. Putting those wire ties down at that end there kind of keeps this a little bit smoother. I mean, even here I don't feel anything. I don't think it will catch on anything at all, to be honest. And yep, I think it's a nice solid rig. So that's all I gotta say. I haven't put it in the water yet, but I think it's going to be a nice new companion. and it looks like this 3D printed piece that they have on here between the light and the nesting part of the mount there. It's made out of plastic, so that's good because it goes around your flashlight. It's not metal, so it's not aluminum. It's going to carve into any of your anodization on the outside of your expensive dive light, and I think that was the reason why they wanted to put some polymer plastic in there, which is smart. It kind of conforms and it nests real nice and mates up real well to that flashlight housing. Last thing you want to do is put a piece of equipment on there that could potentially mar or scratch the anodization, and it just, you know, it starts to look ugly, or it makes sharp piece there that could catch or scratch you. This is a nice finished piece of aluminum plate on the bottom, and it just snaps in and out super easy. I mean, it couldn't be much easier than that. And for a quick disconnect system, you get another flashlight. Say if, for example, somebody is doing a lot of multiple dives, and if for whatever reason, if you really like this light and you didn't want to deal, you could buy multiple lights and multiple quick disconnects. You could have 2 or 3 of these charged up and ready to go if you didn't want the batteries flopping around. It'd be a little more expensive, of course, but you know, it's an option. I'm saying you could have 3 of these on the ready. Take a little label and put on the outside 1, 2, and 3, so you can quickly visually indicate which light is what. And if one dive light were to fail, or if the battery were to go flat, you can just simply click the other light in and you'd be ready to go. And then once you get back to your base operations, you could take the lithium ion battery out when you're off the boat or off of the dive site and get that charged up. You know, if you keep it all in this package, everything stays inside, stays dry and doesn't get any salt water on it. If you're on a dive boat and you wanted another backup light, you could put the quick disconnect mount on it, and you know, between dive 1 and 2 or 3, if you had any issue, you could just clip this off or put it in your bag, secure it on the boat, clip the other one in. Instant gratification, instant utilization of the tools that you need at hand is what I like to say. So with that, guys, cheers. This is the Seattle Ring Hunter. If you lost anything in the Seattle, Washington area, as always, give me a call at 206-618-8194 and start that discussion with me so we can figure out what the next step is in your recovery process for your specific mission. Everyone's got some sentimental items. If you lost those, or if it's a cell phone or car keys or something of that nature, simply reach out to me. And don't forget the ringfinders.com with over 500 recovery specialists across the country. Get on there and find somebody in your local area to come out and assist you with your lost recovery needs. Until next time, we'll see you. Peace out. Cheers, and have a great one. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye. If you've lost your ring or special item of value, please get in touch with me at the SeattleRingHunter.com as soon as possible so I can arrange to do a search for you.